Hamane relatives. Hamane means like, how are you? What are you doing? Right here, we're going to be doing a quick update here on today, and we're over here located at the checkpoint here at the BIA, Bureau of Indian Affairs checkpoint. And I wanted to share a few things that came to mind about meeting with our officers. I met with an officer at the hotel yesterday, and I was pretty upset. Yesterday, the mercenaries got right close to camp to incite and try to incite some type of reaction from our water protectors. And I'm really proud of our water protectors, our men. They're in prayer. They know that's powerful, and these mercenaries don't know how to deal with that. They're up there with weapons. They were with the Morton County Police Department, the sheriffs, and it's one of the most powerful things that you can witness when you have a weapon as a prayer and a song. So I wanted to share with the BIA that they're right there with many officers, more officers than I think Standing Rock has had in a while, and that if they could spare one to witness what their people are going through on the other side, 2 miles down this road. The officer that I spoke with had no clue. He's from Pine Ridge, what was going on. He didn't know. So, I was pretty upset with him. And so I said, let me show you. And he was really off. He was really standoffish, defensive. And I was patient with him. I wanted to educate him. And I wanted to let him know to not call us protesters, but protectors. And we're protecting the sacred. And to remind him that why we are here. And he started talking about, well, I just went and did with a teen suicide. And he was talking like that. And I said, this is why we're here. Is because our people are out of balance. We've been in constant defense of our sacred sites, trying to protect our water, our resources, our children. And he goes, well, if they could just get a job and come be an officer, I wouldn't be down here. It could be back where I was stationed. And I says, that's not okay for you to say that. And I says, I want to educate you on the 100 years, or some tribes are up to 200, 300, 400, 500 years of historical trauma and atrocities that have happened in their communities. And we watched some videos, and I said, I'm going to share with you what your people are fighting for, why you're here. And I showed him the video of a young man, Trenton, getting pulled out of ceremony and sweat in the Yupi, and how he was describing how the cannons were going off around him, the sound percussion cannons were going off around him. And I asked him if he's been to sweat. He does sweat. I asked him if he prays with water. He does pray with water. And I shared with him how that young man had talked about how he was his first time pouring water. I shared with him how the young rider has got his horse shot by the officers right there in front of everybody. I also shared with him about how the young riders up there were being chased by the mercenaries and the local law enforcement, and they were shooting rubber bullets at them. And then actually, when they ran out of rubber bullets, they were shooting live rounds, and that how the riders described those live rounds to them, and the percussions that they were shooting, and they were trying to ram their horses with their ATVs. And he says, well, it could be back and forth, and then I showed him again how powerful the buffalo came, our relatives, to acknowledge what the ancestors were sharing with us, that they're there and they're witnessing us. But what really got him is when he saw the percussion grenades being thrown out of the plane at the buffalo, and that he seen the helicopter going in front of the buffalo and the ATVs shooting after the buffalo. And also he started seeing that the military vehicles were at the buffalo as well. And then he saw the plane come down and buzz right over the buffalo, probably around maybe 15, 20 feet. Then his mind started to change. It saddened me that the BIA isn't enforcing this knowledge on their people. I let him know that we're his responsibility as well, and to send an officer down there to help educate them and talk with your superior if you don't know, if you had no power over what's going on here. So the goal was to educate our officers that their Indian people are over there. I'm a professor. I work with historical trauma youth, at-risk youth, violence against women, and I told them now I have a charge called stalking. Dakota Access Pipeline Security. The mercenaries that are now going there, that said they're in fear of their life. These guys got weapons. They look like they are black ops standing up on top of the mountain. And you guys can go back a few videos and see that. These guys are scared of their life for us from the camera. It makes no sense. My other relative that got out, Sean, yesterday at jail had a $100,000 bond that was also flying his drone. But he wasn't, he was not even in town when they picked out that charge for him. He was out of town. What they're charging us with, I shared with them, are felonies. People that have never went to jail are getting charged felonies. One of my relatives I went to Haskell with is Keith. He's also a hip hop artist. He was charged with a felony, which was dropped. They're also doing things that by swabbing our people with felonies. So even though the felony gets dropped, they're still swabbing them, which is not okay. It's a violation, human rights violation, and other things that we're looking at with DNA, with our indigenous people. We know that. We've been fighting for our DNA for a long time. So I want to share with you guys that you got to get educated, young ones. Empower yourselves to learn and recognize the law and learn the law, because we're fighting here for a human right, our right to have clean drinking water and to protect the sacred sites. So I shared with this officer these videos, and I showed him how our people were being thrown to the ground and how they had their staffs in their hand, they had their eagle feathers in their hand, they had that medicine in their hand. And I said, do these look like protesters to you? And he just shook his head. You know, and I said, I encourage you and I empower you to come over and witness what's happening. Go just send an officer over there to the side, and just, your job is to watch these mercenaries who are now trying to intimidate. The problem is, it's not intimidating us, it's empowering us. And today what we've seen is the camp has doubled, and we have a lot of relatives coming in, bringing donations, setting up their teepees, setting up their tents, and preparing for winter. It's a very beautiful thing to see that on a beautiful day. So I got to go have dinner, one of the elders' tents. She invited us in to have dinner with them, and it was a pijakama, good food. Nanishtahai tukawan. It was good food to eat. We prayed for our food there. So relatives, today was the day that the FAA ban was lifted. Now, we have been working all week to make sure that the right information gets there. We've been working all week to make sure that our relatives that are intellectual warriors and that are articulating what we're seeing at the grassroots took that information and had the FAA ban lifted today around noontime. So many of our native drone pilots were out there showing to the world what we're witnessing, which is the desecration from Dakota Access Pipeline. They're desecrating the site. There's not a cultural monitor or an archaeologist from the tribe's perspective out there, and we want to make sure that they get that. They're continuing to work backwards. So many of you guys who don't know this, as they jumped forward to the water and they're working their way back, and their pipes are already laid down, and even though they don't have authority to go under the river, we're going to have to document and show the world that they're going to try to use their own authority. A corporation is going to try to use their own eminent domain to go under, and no one's going to be able to stop them. We've been reaching out to Obama. We've had many people that are leaders that we hope they're able to get in there, get off the fence, and get in there and fight for your people. And that's what we need. We need to witness that. Now is the time. This is going to set a new precedence. We do not need to compromise with our inherent right to have clean drinking water. And that's what we hate about going to DC. It's the compromise. Well, if you guys leave, we'll leave. And we've continued to compromise with our sacred sites. We continue to compromise with the trust responsibility, the education, IHS, all these things, housing, our sacred sites that are over building projects. So relatives, we're continuing to this month educate you about the indigenous issues of this country. And I encourage everyone to do it in a good way, with good teachings, and role model what healthiness is. And we need you guys, you intellectual warriors, to get out there, you historians and you community native scientists, to share your stargazing stories, to share your medicines, your harvesting areas. So I'm going to get off for now. And I just want to share with a quick update that it's been a beautiful day. People were laughing and cutting wood. DAPL was all along the mountain, and you can see them digging over there. Even though our people are sad that they're able to witness that, they still, their spirit is strong that they're in resistance and they're in prayer resistance. So share that message with all your relatives. Share that message with your brothers, your sisters, that this is a time to demonstrate prayer. This is a time for the world to see that the indigenous people here are demonstrating prayer. They're not protesters. They're demonstrating prayer, as I shared with that BIA officer and educated him that don't give up on us. Talk to us, not talk at us. Talk to us, not talk at us. Treat us like someone you love very much, and that's how you want them to feel when you leave them, like a nephew or your son or daughter. You want them to feel empowered. Empower us to empower those around us, and to say that with a good mind and good heart. That when you come through those two front gates, it's like an altar. Sacred Stones Camp, Mosheti Sakoe. You come through those two front gates, you're coming into ceremony. You leave those things behind you and you come in, and these are the tools to reconnect your spirit back to the earth. No matter what tribe, no matter what domination you are, Christian, Buddha, tree hugger, whatever you are, ceremony is right there. Pray in your own way. Say that in a good way. So, Bija Yarawa Nanishtahai. Say those words in a good way. Nanishtahai Shunami. Good thoughts, Maui, good spirit, Diapa, the earth, Nanishtahai Pa, Bijapa, bless the water. To all our relations, we are still here, and we are the media. Aho.